Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. I'm Ashley. I'm a homeschooling mom with 7 kiddos. Our oldest is 13 and our youngest is 2, and I have every age range in between there. Okay, so I have talked before about my oldest is in 8th grade currently. We will be starting 9th grade next year, and I've started to do research on it. I have started to really dive into it and get a head start on it, because that's what you need to do. These are obviously, I think, the most, I don't want to say intense years, because they're not necessarily the most formative years. I think the younger years are the most formative years. But as far as making sure that you have everything ready and have all your ducks in a row, that you are prepared and you are preparing your child. And pretty much, I mean, it is on you to make sure that they are doing everything right to graduate, that they are have everything that they need to graduate, that they have all the credits they need to graduate. So it is kind of a tough thing. It is kind of a big responsibility to have. And so I don't take that lightly. I wanted to kind of share what I have learned so far in my research with this. There is still so much more research to do for myself, at least, but I wanted to kind of go through what my steps have been. So your first thing is, obviously, this goes a lot with your curriculum choices, but with high school, this is so much more important. You have such a wide range and such a wide variety in the elementary years that you could do anything, really, depending on your state. In Texas, you could do anything and any curriculum piece, and it's not, it is what it is. In high school, you need to be more specific. So I'll get to that specifics in a second, but research your state's requirements. So if you go onto your state's education website, it will show you, and even your local ISD website should show you all the requirements for graduation. So they will have, the list of actual credits. So let's say you just need 4 years of English, 4 years of, math, but your math is divided up. So you need, you have your pre-algebra, which mine did last year. You have he's doing algebra this year, you have your geometry, you have your pre-algebra, you have your pre-cal, whatever you decide. Some of those are optional and you get to pick and choose, and some are credits that you have to have. So your 4 years of English are not as specific as your 4 years of math credits or your 4 years of history. One thing that I am going to be trying to get a little bit more research done on is the electives. Some people, I'm part of a lot of different Facebook groups for the Texas area, and some people use anything from like horseback riding lessons for electives, or dance for electives. And can I do that? And how do you grade that? And does it have to be an actual course, or can it be a class that you take, or how do those hours work? That is the one thing I really need to focus on, is electives, because literally some people will say, the only thing that you need is, mine did horseback riding lessons, or mine did, welding, or mine did, okay, but if you're taking a class, does that class have to be a certain number of hours, or does it have to be a certain number of months, or, how does that work? So that is one thing that I really need to look into, but it will tell you, the Texas or your state's website, and the ISD, local ISD webpage will also tell you, if you click on high school, all the different credits, and if you were to be going to the public school, what your options would be. So that kind of gives you an idea, like, okay, here are my math choices. It tells you can either take, it's like your course selection guide, if you will, which is really what it is. And so you can kind of take a look at that and see, okay, if I were in public school, these would be my options. Is there a certain curriculum piece that I can use for this subject? So doing that and kind of narrowing it down and getting more specific, and you don't have to look at all 4 years, look at ninth grade only and look and see what exactly it is that, your child is going to need for that year. The basic ninth grade English should be across the board pretty much the same, regardless of your curriculum. If it's English language, English literature or whatever, it should say grade 9. I recently got a Christian books catalog in the mail, and most of those curriculums have grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. So it gives you an idea of what you're not just like blindly looking at all these different curriculum pieces and not knowing what goes with what grade. Now, what kind of curriculum piece? Now, this might be something that you thought of when you first started homeschooling, and you really looked into when you first started homeschooling and saying, okay, well, my kid does better, obviously, with one-on-one teaching. So I'm going to teach them. I don't need anything. I don't need a DVD. I don't need anything like that. As they get older, that might change. So for example, we have been using Matthew C for him for 7th and 8th grade. 7th and 8th? Yes. And it has worked well. It comes with a DVD, but he is not super diligent about watching it. Like if I can answer the question, then he usually comes to me first. Which is fine for algebra, but come geometry and pre-cal, things that I do not know, there's going to be issues. So what I have decided is that probably for next year and the years on after, I need to look for a curriculum that is not just a DVD, like he can go online and learn the lessons, and whether or not it's gives you the tests and gives you all of that and grades it for you, that might be what we're doing. Or I do the test, but he just sits there and watches and listens to all the examples, and it's not just like a 10-minute DVD. It's maybe a little bit more specific and goes over more problems, and as if you were face-to-face. Now, there are some curriculums that will, you have to log on at a certain time. You have to take tests at a certain time, or, within a certain range of days. I don't know if I want something that specific, because we homeschool, guys. I don't necessarily need something that specific, but I want it to be a little bit more than the Matthew C. Is kind of what I'm looking at right now. But again, figure out what it is that your child does best with. If you are a math whiz and you can just teach everything and you are okay with that, and you can hand out tests. I don't really do tests, but in high school, I'm going to have grades of some sort. So we're going to have to do that. Now, do I want it to where he gets one chance for an online quiz, and if he doesn't do well, then that's it? Not necessarily. I want him to be able to learn from his mistakes and go back and then maybe retake it if he has to. They let you do that in elementary school. Sometimes they let you do that in college. It's just, I need to really sit down and research. I have not gotten that far yet. I just kind of know what format I'm looking at now. Then narrow down your options. Obviously, you should know by now whether you want to do secular or whether you don't want to do non-secular, or whether it doesn't matter to you. It doesn't matter to me as far as like math goes. Math is so straightforward. It is what it is, and it's just black and white to me. So it's just really the format that I'm looking at right now for him. Language arts, I'm going to keep with that because I think he's done really well with that, with the good and the beautiful. So, and I don't want curriculum going against what I want them to know and what they know. So, overall, I'd say I am more of a religious type. Curriculum is what I prefer, but it is not mandatory for me. So it is not a make or break for me. Like I said, as you get into the higher grades, getting more specific, you get more specific with your curriculum pieces. So obviously a 3rd grade math curriculum, you are going to have 1,000,003 different curriculums to choose from. Ranging from everything under the sun. When you get to algebra or pre-cal, you might not have that many. you won't have that many. You're going to have a handful that you get to choose from. Because so much is focused on and is geared towards elementary math, I feel like, in elementary subjects, that a lot of times it's just like people kind of forget about the high school and don't really realize that this is pretty important. But at the same time, I'm okay with that because I don't want 1,000,003 choices to pick which algebra curriculum piece I'm going to use. I want a few to choose from and say, okay, which one of these has the format that I'm looking for? Which one of these has the teaching style I'm looking for? Is it easy enough to where my kid can do it well enough? And then go from there. So that's kind of a plus. Research on YouTube, Google through YouTube, and that is how I found so many of the different curriculum pieces that I use today, and through different people on YouTube with their different channels and reviews. And maybe I thought I wanted something, and then I found a review and I was like, oh, okay, that's a different perspective. Maybe I'm not gonna like this one. Really do your research on the reviews. They have flip throughs, and obviously I do flip throughs pretty much every time I get a new curriculum piece in on this channel. I do a flip through because I think that is so important, and that helps you look inside and see what it is, how is it formatted, how is it laid out, will my kid benefit from this style of learning. You know, I know when I was in college, even certain teachers, how they taught depended on whether or not I retained that information. If I had a teacher that did math like here is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, I did great in that class. If there is a teacher that made me think outside the box, and it's like, okay, like, get to the answer. How do I get to the answer? Just tell me how to get to the answer, step by step by step by step. That's all I need. And so how the professor or the teacher taught will make or break you. Because if you think and you learn a certain way, and that teacher teaches a different way, if you are very rule and step oriented and they teach like very broad steps and very broad instructions, then no. So, look at that, make sure that you get as many reviews as possible that you can look up, that you can find blog posts, YouTube channels, Instagram, wherever. Start buying your stuff early once you have narrowed it down, because high school stuff is not cheap. Elementary school, I feel like, middle school, cheap. High school, not cheap. If you want all the tests, and you want the quizzes, and you want the teacher guide, and you want all of this, you're going to be paying a pretty penny. So it is easiest to break that up. And as soon as you know that this is something that you are for sure going to want, and you have done all your research, and you are 110% confident that this is the curriculum piece that you want, start with that. Get it out of the way, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. Because you will end up in the end of the summer scrambling to try and get these curriculum pieces, and either they won't be available, or you'll see something that might change your mind a little bit, but you're like, gosh, if I hadn't watched this, then I wouldn't have even thought about this. And so you don't even have to think about that curriculum piece. If you have math down, if you have it nailed down, take it and run, buy it and run. And that way you have that out of the way, and that is less stress, because especially like myself, with currently 5 that I'm homeschooling, as I get those out of the way, I don't have to think about them anymore. As I get those curriculum pieces out of the way, I don't have to think about it anymore. So do that, buy early. And finally, recording grades and transcripts. I have seen a lot of different things floating around for transcripts, and I think our state has something on their website as well, their education website, for information on transcript, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of people have some that you can purchase from them. Really, I just need to know and make sure that I'm doing it correctly. So whether or not I need to do like a little, I don't know, not a conference, but like a little class on it, or whatever. I need to do a lot more research and make sure, because I kind of feel like sometimes I feel like, are they going to think this is legit? But it is what it is. It's a high school transcript. You graduated homeschool and that's it. You were the teacher. Like Texas recognizes that. So I just need to make sure that I'm getting it from the right sources. And that's another thing I want to bring up is, make sure that you are looking at reputable sources when you print these things out and when you get this information as it relates to your state. Don't necessarily listen to some Joe Blow, blogger when it is something as important as making sure that your kids have all the classes that they need and all the requirements they need to graduate. So, in a nutshell, that is kind of what I have done so far. That is the information that I have so far. As I get more information and research these things more, I am going to continue to share with you, because I think it is so important. And as I've always said, high school does not have a huge audience. Homeschool high school is not huge on YouTube. And so it's crazy because it's like so important. And especially in like Texas, where you do not have any requirements whatsoever. I pulled my kids out of school when they were in third and kinder, and nobody said anything since. So you are basically on your own to do anything and everything, grades, curriculum, everything, checkpoints if you want them. If you don't want them, big deal. It doesn't matter. So that's that. If you have any further pointers about this subject, or if you have any other questions or any advice, if there are any moms of high schoolers that are watching this, that would be excellent. Just let me know down below or send me an email or any advice. I will take any advice on homeschooling high school at this point. But again, I will continue to share with you what I find and what I deem important, and my preferences and what I decide and all that. So, all right, guys, let me know down below. I'll see you next time. Take care.